वो जैसे जैसे आता रहेगा।
सर इस बार कैसा उड़ीसा ने कैसा अरेंजमेंट किया, क्या आप कैसा?
नहीं, आप सब लोग देख सकते हो कि उड़ीसा गवर्नमेंट और पुलिस प्रशासन दोनों ने बहुत अच्छी तरह से काम किया हुआ है। जब यहाँ 10 से 15 लाख लोग की इतनी मात्रा में आना और उसके बाद में उसकी सफलतापूर्वक व्यवस्था रखना।
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
चले।
The Indian consumers thinking their brains out is amazing. So they have placed an order for iPhone 7 and they have returned iPhone 6.
What is Shadowfax? What does the name signify?
Shadowfax is Gandalf's horse. It is the fastest, swiftest and the most reliable horse in the entire trilogy that is there.
When you started in 2014, why was the idea still novel?
We interacted with the restaurant operators. They said that I'm getting more demand, but I'm not able to actually service it. Their core job should not be to do logistics.
So this is the very sanitized version of this web. असली वाली कहानी बताइए.
We used to meet over the weekends. रात के 1 बजे आपको भूख लग रही है. Now how do you get your food delivered?
What was the first reaction when you said, I'm leaving my well-paying job?
My dad was like कि मतलब पागल हो गया है क्या? Second problem that he told me कि यार you are working with blue collared people. Managing them at scale, it would be nightmare.
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary, and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100% true, and today private industry can really increase their involvement in R&D.
I am very proud to say that we make, in our categories that we have been supplying to our defense forces, some of the best platforms in the world.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
Hello and welcome. I'm Harsh Saita. With me is Varsha Chandani. We're going to host KYC today jointly, and we're going to speak about Coromandel International. It's a fertilizer company, and there's just so many reasons why fertilizers in today's topic is extremely relevant. One, you have a monsoon which has been extremely good, Varsha, and therefore we're seeing good traction across the board. You're likely in a good monsoon expected to also witness good rural and farm income, which should translate to good numbers for fertilizer stocks. And Coromandel International is one of those. The second one is China halting specialty fertilizer exports, and therefore it impacts Indian fertilizer companies because they import the raw material to produce the fertilizer. Varsha will obviously give us that explanation, but that is the other key element which is a moving part. And the third piece on the geopolitical side is any impact on imports even outside of China could well be a kind of a concern with regard to raw materials for the fertilizer industry. And what could all of that do in terms of impacting Coromandel's numbers is what I want to know. The second one is the retail margins versus the B2B margins. Currently, Varsha, they have 750 retail outlets, if I understand correctly. They want to double or triple this in a very short span of time. This could well mean likely better margins, but the question is how much better? And we were debating that, and therefore it will be interesting to understand what the impact of this on margins is. Margins in FY21, if I recall, were 14%. Yes. They've come down to 11% now. And therefore, this could be an interesting pivot. Yes. Even if top line growth is not there, some cushion on margins could help. So that's point number 2. 3 is, what is the next lever of growth? Therefore, you want top line to grow, and we have an Elara report which says that there will be very strong growth on the top line, at least for this year, FY26. I want to understand what those levers are. Cash flow has been a bit of a lag, especially in FY24's numbers. I want to understand whether that is a common business practice or issue which the company will continue to face going forward as well. The fifth or the sixth piece is the impact of the fertilizer subsidy reduction. That causes an impact on fertilizer companies, and this time around the subsidy has been reduced by 13% in the budget, which is a large quantum and which will impact your numbers for fertilizer stocks. Now, I want to understand Coromandel versus others. Given all of this that's happening, there's plenty happening, right? Given all of this that's happening, how do the numbers add up? Do valuations make sense? Because Coromandel is just in a league of its own, as you will see in our analysis. And then there are all the others. So that is the other piece. Can it continue to gain market share? And expansion and sustainability of return ratios, which are extremely solid. But let's not delay this any further. Let's start talking about the company, and we're going to do this slightly differently today. Because it's a complicated subject, we're going to allow Varsha to start off because she's better at the complex stuff, and maybe I'll ask her a few questions and maybe we'll get better perspective and explanations on this. So Varsha, take it away.
Yeah, so thank you, Harsh.
Now,
let us just talk what exactly Coromandel does. So, so they offer a diverse range of products and services across farming value chain, and they're specialized in fertilizers. You have crop protection, you have biopesticides, specialty nutrients. We are gonna understand this in a very simple way, and they operate in 760 rural retail outlets across 3 southern Indian states. Now let's just divide their business segments. You have crop nutrition. Now what does this mean? This means your simple fertilizers and complex fertilizers like NPK, DAP, SSP, urea. Now we'll just dissect this. Now what is NPK? It's nothing but nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium.
Sorry, before we go ahead, can we have those full? Yes, please. Thank you. That's perfect.
NPK is nitrogen, phosphorus. Now nitrogen is for the green color that you get in your leaves, and the leafy growth that you see. It's because of nitrogen. Phosphorus, when you want to have strong roots and good flowers and fruits, you need phosphorus. So it's like a bone builder and energy booster, I would say. Potassium for overall plant health, and and also for the disease resistant. We all know that the pest and all that ruin the crops and seeds.
Yeah.
So potassium takes care of that, and of course the water regulation is also taken care by potassium. Now urea, urea is like, so consider it as a protein shake, providing a heavy dose of nitrogen specifically for strong and leafy growth. DAP, that is diammonium phosphate. Now this is very important. Now so imagine plants like humans, and they need food to grow big and strong. So two of the most important foods for plants are nitrogen and phosphorus. And so DAP is nothing but a popular fertilizer that gives a plant a good growth, a powerful combination of phosphorus for strong roots and good fruit, good development. And nitrogen is for green leafy growth. This is so nothing. The overall, if you want your plant to grow greener, to have good fruits, to to have pest-free goods, you need these fertilizers. Simple as that. Now,
and sorry, Varsha. So is there a distinction between the three, and probably help viewers understand that between an NPK, between a DAP, and between an SSP? What are the key uses of each of those? Just in two lines.
So as I said, so nitrogen is for the green and
Correct.
leafy growth.
Correct. So that's for growth basically.
Yes, for growth.
So
Correct.
NPK is for growth, DAP is for.
So phosphorus again strong roots, and then again you have urea for protein shake, providing a heavy dose of nitrogen. And when it comes to DAP, it's a popular fertilizer that gives a powerful combination of all this.
Perfect. So you have growth, you have one fertilizer for ensuring that a good combination is generated within the plant, again aids growth, and then you have SSP.
Yes.
Which
so
is
SSP is nothing but again a kind of fertilizer that you use in your plant growth.
perfect. So there are three types of fertilizers, and then you have the entire value chain as well.
Exactly.
So does Coromandel cater to the entire value chain?
Yes, exactly. So they are into urea, they are into phosphorus, they are
Is
into
there
DAP.
anything that they are not into?
I don't think so.
Perfect.
I would say the next segment, that is crop protection, where you have herbicides, pesticides, agrochemical sector basically.
Correct.
They are into that segment also, and which they want to increase it. But mostly the highest or the more revenue contribution comes from your fertilizer sector. That's it.
Okay. Should
And
we move
also-
on to specialty nutrients?
Yeah, sure. So then you have specialty nutrients, which they provide the secondary nutrients or micronutrients or water soluble and liquid fertilizers as well, which we are going to talk about it. Also, they are into organic fertilizer. Now you know the buzz around having organic food and organic fertilizers. So they are also into that. So they derive these fertilizers from city waste and from sugarcane molasses, and that's the reason it is called as an organic fertilizers. Now the interesting thing is the nano products. Now they are also into, they've launched in-house, they've in-house developed and patented nano DAP. So remember we just spoke about DAP, but now the extension is they've gone ahead with a nano DAP product in FY24. Now it's and liquid fertilizer product that contains nanoparticles of diapium phosphate. So it's nothing but the liquid particles, because that will penetrate deeper inside the roots and inside the plants, and it is made using nano technology, and the particles are extremely tiny, extremely small. And many of the fertilizer companies, even the private one, the management talks about nano fertilizers going ahead, and even the drone system that you have, even Coromandel is into drone services also, wherein
So tell us a little bit about that. What exactly is it?
So what they exactly do is they provide this drone services wherein the fertilizers are being sprinkled through drone, and because it is sprinkled through drone, the penetration is much more higher. So one of the reasons, we will talk about
how does raw material get impacted by this? We're going to spend a minute on that, because there are certain overhangs with regard to raw material, both from China as well as other exports.
Exactly, and we are going to talk about that also, because now so overall, if you see Harsh, in fertilizer sector, we are driven.
Correct.
We are heavily dependent on import for all our raw materials, and that is the reason. Recently, if you see, you were just speaking about the margins going down. Now imagine a situation wherein the subsidy has decreased for fertilizer companies, and the prices of end product have also decreased, but the prices of raw material has not decreased, and that's why my raw material prices go up, but my end product prices doesn't go up. My subsidy is going down, and that is impacting my margin. So this is one of the risks that all the fertilizer companies have.
Big one. Okay, let's quickly look at the metrics now, because I'm told we are way behind time. Let's look at the metrics. We've just drifted away. Income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, return ratios. We look at all four. Thereafter, we look at shareholding, street cred, street coverage, and valuations. Varsha, we have 30 to 40 seconds each.
Yes.
Income statement.
Exactly. So if you see income statement in the last 3 years, the revenue has grown at a CAGR of 8%. The profit has grown at a CAGR of 5%, and so one of the reasons, if you see the margins have actually gone down, which I was explaining this. So margin have gone down from 14% to 11% because of the reduction in subsidy and because of the higher raw material cost, which has impacted the margins. But overall, now the expectation is because of the early monsoon and good monsoon, these numbers are expected to go ahead, because the company is going into into retail segment, and also into a B2C segment, and of course the company is gonna increase their revenue contribution from your agrochemicals, which will actually help the overall financials better than this. Yeah.
Okay, so that's with regard to the income statement. Let's look at the balance sheet. More expected from a growth perspective, frankly, on the income statement, but that's the nature of the business. Unfortunately, we are still going to have to give it a thumbs down, because from an investor perspective, if there's no growth, we have to give it a thumbs down. Let's look at the balance sheet now. And when you're looking at it, it looks okay on the equity side of things. Let's quickly flip over and look at the debt. And the debt is very, very small, right? Let's ignore lease liabilities entirely. And you look at the debt, which is less than 250 crore and has been so no concerns from a debt perspective. We're going to give this a thumbs up. The two things that I would be a little bit concerned about is, one, the build-up of trade receivables, which will come in the cash flow, and Varsha will also impose a little bit on that, and the inventory build-up. The inventories have ballooned in line with the way top line has ballooned, but that is certainly something where cash gets blocked, and cash is valuable for every business, right? So you want to look at that from a balance sheet perspective, and you want to note that's the nature of the business. Things will get blocked in inventory, things will get blocked in receivables. They have very good cash balances as well on the books, around 3,500 crore of cash that I can see. So very healthy from that perspective. Cash flow, Varsha.
Yes, actually the point taken, Harsh. Now you were talking about receivables going high, but if you compare it with FY24, receivables have actually come down. And the other thing is inventory. So yes, the cash is being stuck in inventory, but that has also come down, and that's the reason. If you see the cash flow from operating activity, so if you see in FY24, it was 1,428 crore cash flow from operations, which has jumped up to 2,464 crore in FY25. Now over here, if you see the net cash flow is negative. Why? Because of the huge investment that they're doing in capex. So if I were to talk about the fixed asset purchase, in FY24 it was 527 crore, which has jumped to 851 crore. So the investment they're doing, the capex that they're doing is bringing their net cash flow into a negative one. But on the cash flow side, overall we would give a neutral kind of rating, because we need to see that the amount of the capex that the company is doing, how this is gonna add back into their financials. That is one of the key highlights
and that comes straight to the return ratios, because that will give us an understanding of what they're doing with regard to capex.
And that's the reason, Harsh, the return ratios have come down little bit, because of the huge capital expenditure that the company is doing.
And the cash balance it holds, right, Varsha?
Yeah.
Earlier never used to hold such a large cash balance, but now it holds a large cash balance.
Yes.
And that's probably impacting return ratios. Whether that's a change in strategy or not is the other piece, which we'll try and understand. But return ratios clearly a thumbs up, because when you're looking at 18, 19, 28% return ratios, really there's very little to complain about from a shareholder perspective, even if the company is holding on or reinvesting the cash. So really no concern here. We're not even going to discuss this. Let's move on to shareholding pattern. 57% held by promoters. The promoter group is part of a listed entity as well, EID Parry, which holds around 56% in this company. But a thumbs up clearly with regard to the way shareholding has moved as well. Varsha, you want to talk about street cred?
Street cred, yes. So just highlight the 5 years. In the last 5 years, company has given 200% return to the shareholders. But in the last 6 months, 23%. In last 1 month, the stock performance has been under pressure. That is negative 5.8%. And in the year-to-date performance has been 18%. And the last 1 year, the stock performance has been 46%. So overall, if you see in the last 1 month, yes, company has had problems, and because of the subsidies issues and
But it's a three bag of 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been good in terms of returns, and even the last 1 year hasn't been bad per se.
Yeah, it has not.
They've done quite well. So we'll give it that thumbs up. Street coverage is what I'll quickly take before I throw it back to Varsha on valuations and outlook. Now, street coverage, those are the numbers on your screen. Really self-explanatory. We'll give this a neutral and quickly move on. Varsha, valuations and brief outlook as well before we take questions.
Sure. So valuation, if you see, considering Coromandel, Paradeep, Deepak and Chambal fertilizers, Coromandel is of course trading at a premium valuation. There is reason for the same, because this company is beyond fertilizers. Number one, they are also into crop protection, that is agrochemicals, which they want to increase, and this segment generally offers a higher margin. Also, they are into specialty nutrients and the emerging areas that they are catering into, like for example, they are venturing into areas like drone services, which I was speaking about, through its subsidiary Daksha Unmanned System, and of course the CDMO business, the contract development and manufacturing in specialty chemicals, is one of the reason why we are getting harsh premium valuation for Coromandel versus others. But on the outlook, lastly, they are expecting positive turnaround in agri sector. Strong policy support and favorable monsoon forecast will be the drivers. High double-digit